Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today I've got a special guest with me today. This is Dietrich with Skinny Medic. You guys might be familiar with his YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff on medical preparedness. And we were throwing around a couple of ideas. We had him down to film a man can announcement and a couple of other things. We thought it'd be fun to sort of do almost a philosophical video here where we dive into a little bit different than outside of the wheelhouse of just medical preparedness, but disaster preparedness. And we were discussing a little bit earlier about how being medically prepared is not necessarily the same thing as being prepared for a disaster. So what we want to pose in this particular video is, okay, what happens when your medicine starts running out, when you start running out of insulin, out of, all of these heart medications, things that you need. I mean, what can someone do to be prepared not only medically, but be prepared for the long-term medical drought, as we would call it, that would be related to a disaster situation, floods, hurricanes, man-made disaster. Maybe there's something going on really bad and you don't have access to medical supplies, you don't have access to modern medical conveniences, not only medical conveniences, but just general conveniences. But how do we deal with that, and how do we come out on the other side smelling like a rose, both disaster and medical? I don't think people really think about that very much.
Yeah, I don't think people think about it until it's too late. Like we see it on the news, like when, say, a hurricane comes through. Now people are panic buying, people are running out of supplies, running out of stuff. Now like, oh gosh, wish I'd had this, wish I had that. So pre-planning is super important to have that familiar, like saying, all right, I have this condition, I need to think about this. Or my wife has this condition, my kids have diabetes. Like we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Like that's a real problem. So I think this is an issue that you don't have to be like the crazy prepper that thinks the zombie's going to land, that whatever. But this is just being prepared like a sensible prepper, like to be mindful about it. Just being, do you want to be crazy about it? Just having a little extra supplies goes a long way.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of prudent planning, and even FEMA, recommends that you have a minimum of 30 days worth of food and supplies, medical supplies, water, and basic needs to sustain you through at least 30 days. Now, if FEMA recommends that, many people will go a step up and say, well, maybe you need to think about 90 to 120 days out. And a lot of cases, most prescriptions are only for 30 days, sometimes 60 days. So if you have prescription medication that you need to survive, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to try to locate additional medicine to have on hand so you're prepared more for like the 90 to 120 day window. I mean, if things aren't back to normal in 120 days, well, maybe that's a different conversation.
We'll send a pigeon to my house. Yeah. We'll talk later.
I'll send a carrier pigeon and we'll figure it out. But so we were mentioning earlier, I was asking you, a lot of physicians will give you prescriptions as long as it's not like painkillers and stuff.
Yeah.
For a longer, bout of time, right? So if you went to your doctor and said, hey, I think something could happen, or, I just want to be prepared and have more medicine. Now, your insurance company may not cover the additional expenses over your normal, allotment that you need for a given amount of time, but your doctor would write the prescription for 120 days out. You just might have to come out of pocket.
Yeah, like don't lie to your physician. Like I've seen some people that say, hey, you should just tell them you're going out of the country, going to do this. And maybe you are going out of the country, but don't lie to your physician. Just have an honest conversation with them saying, look, I want to be more prepared. And I'm asking for a 30-day prescription, an extra 30-day prescription, or 90 days, depending on what your financial situation looks like.
Sure.
And so these are going to be medicines like your heart problems. Maybe you have AFib. Maybe you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Insulin is kind of a little funny thing because it's a really short life. But maybe you take pills like glucophage, something like that, for your diabetes. So you can do that way. But have a real conversation with your physician, okay? They're used to awkward conversations, I promise you. So have a real conversation with them and tell them. Now, like Eric was saying, like your insurance company may not pay you. They may pay it, they may not. So it just kind of depends. And then make sure you're rotating those meds in. So like if you're going and you're buying another 30 days of your hypertension medicine like HCTZ, or your Lasix for congestive heart failure, whatever you have, then rotate that medicine in. That way you're not just putting medicine up in a cabinet and it's going bye-bye. And then for me, like I like buying generic over-the-counter medicine as much as I can. So having that, buy generic, that's going to save you some money. And then...
especially if you're stowing them, you know, and it's not immediate use, you're just going to have it on hand. Generic's fine.
Keep them in a cool, dry place where you're going to store these medicines. A lot of people keep their medicine in the bathroom. That's not the best place because you got high humidity. You have high heat as well. So keep them in a cool, dry place. Like put them in a Rubbermaid container in a closet somewhere they're not going to see the light because light's going to hurt these. Humidity. So if they have meds in your car, like those are going to help things go not as work as well as properly. So having those things and rotating your meds. Now, when we talk about expired medications, okay, we all know these things have an expiration date. And the problem is they do put an expiration date. But if you have, like, I'll tell the thing, like my allergies, I take Allegra for my allergies. Well, a paramedic posted on Facebook and said, hey, I have 3 boxes of Allegra that just expired. Anybody want them? I'm like, yeah, I'll take them. They were expired by 1 day and she was going to throw them away. So your medicine, the day it expires, doesn't just go bad. It doesn't happen like that. So if you have
it's a slow degradation.
It's a slow. So maybe you have some Tylenol or ibuprofen that's maybe a year old. Maybe you have to take 3. Okay, instead of making 2, maybe you take 3. So you kind of have.
But you shouldn't just get rid of it.
I don't get rid of it. So typically things just have expiration date on just because. So they're still good. Like those things, like your bandaging and stuff like that. All that is just expirations don't really. They do matter, but not really. So don't get rid of your pain meds. And then you're thinking about like CVS or Walgreens or any other pharmacy. Like you probably need to know where those are at. Like in events. Like we can kind of, this is getting a little shady, but you need to know where they're at. Because if something grid goes down or something really bad happens, there's going to be a rush to get that kind of stuff.
You're right. And I have gone in before and talked to my doctor. And let's just say I've gotten sick before or something and I get on a round of antibiotics. I have asked my doctor before for an extra round of antibiotics, and and it's always sort of like one of those unwritten things where they go, well, look, you need to take this round of antibiotics until they're gone. And sometimes I'll say, hey, can I get an extra supply of antibiotics just to have laying around in case it comes back? Sometimes they'll say, and they're not supposed to do it, but if let's just say some people will take their antibiotics until they run out like you're supposed to. Some of us don't. And if you wind up with some extra antibiotics, don't throw them away. Keep them. Antibiotics are a great thing to have. Fish mox is a great thing to have, which is just antibiotics.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same pill.
But antibiotics are a great thing to have on hand. And any type of, I honestly say that in a disaster situation, if you don't have as readily access to like good food and clean water, even multivitamins and supplements are great things to have because
anti-diarrhea.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really important thing to have. It may not necessarily mean the difference between life and death, but it could mean the difference between good morale and bad morale, right? Sometimes just a simple thing is just feeling a little healthier might go a long way. I know that some people, like I take potassium supplements every day because I play guitar and I do a lot of things that require a lot of manual dexterity, and the potassium helps with soreness and cramping and everything like that. And I also take magnesium supplements because the magnesium also helps with the cramping and fatigue in the hands and things like that. And I take multivitamins and everything. So that's something to consider. I would also consider hydration and everything as being something that's important. I mean, in a disaster situation, make sure you have plenty of water, but also factor in the water that you're factoring in for each person needs to include cooking, bathing, hygiene, cleaning, brushing teeth, things like that, and drinking. So don't just assume, oh, well, a person drinks this much water in a day. That's how much water I need to have to allot myself, a 90-day supply of water. You need to consider bathing, hygiene, and everything as well, because let's face it, it's a morale thing. Like you don't want to go, a week without a bath. Nobody wants that, right? Sometimes just a little monkey bath and getting clean with some baby wipes can go a long way in just making you feel better. Yeah, you feel better, So
but even water filters too. Instead of having maybe gallons of water sitting where somewhere have water filters so you can filter water. Mm-hmm. And going back to the medicines real quick,
sure.
Have a book called Physician's Desk Reference Guide. Buy old nursing books. You can find them at Goodwill, whatever, yard sales. Someone gets out of nursing, they're like, I do not want these books anymore. Here you go. So take those books, store them away. That way, maybe in a grid down situation, the zombies have showed up, and you're looking through trying to find meds, and you're like, I have no idea what this medicine is. well, then you have a book to kind of look at that and go, oh, this medicine's for this. And you can kind of bounce that off to kind of
That's a great idea.
help that in a bad situation. And I said that's for like, holy gosh, the zombies.
And make sure it's the one that is the visible reference, the one that's got like really good detailed photos. I mean, it's a little bit of money to invest to get a book like that, but it's well worth it. Because the last thing you want to do is go, oh, I'm popping this, and it's the wrong thing, and you wind up having a really bad situation.
If Google's still around, it makes it a little bit easier to figure out what you're using, because they all have pill identifiers on. We made a joke about them fish mocks, but they all have, you can Google, like it's a pink and red pill with WTF 360 on there. So you can Google that and it'll pop up what's on there. So,
cool.
But those books always work out well. And then I was going to say the water filters, having water storage is easy, but having way to filter water so you don't get sick.
So medical preparedness is a very important part of disaster preparedness, but it's not the only thing to consider. A lot of people think, hey, I've got a boatload of medical supplies, so I'm good. Now, granted, yes, you are good, but I don't want to get too far off into this vein, but a lot of people feel it's important to have, good quantities of ammunition, a good serviceable weapon in good condition with extra parts. I mean, obviously, from a defensive situation, you want to be able to protect yourself against looters, bandits. I mean, there's been many situations where a disaster occurs, and there's people out there with evil in their hearts, and they want to, hurt other people and take from them and loot. So you have to be prepared for the human side of it too. You may not have to worry about Mother Nature drowning you or pushing a tree over on your house or a snake biting you and you die from poison or something, venom. You may have to consider a person coming to take what's yours and trying to hurt you and your family. So you got to be able to protect yourself with a good gun and everything like that. I really wanted this video to be more about where the medical side gets into the disaster preparedness side. And I think that a lot of people tend to not think about the fact that, they don't think about having meds or, even something as simple as just keeping your dogs fed, maybe your dogs require medicine, you require medicine, maybe an elderly person. Oh, earlier we were discussing oxygen tanks.
Yes.
What if you require oxygen? I mean, gosh, 120-day supply of oxygen would be a pretty considerable thing to have on hand, but if you really want to be prepared.
Yeah, you gotta have backup tanks. Maybe you're thinking about a generator for your oxygen concentrator. CPAP, things like that. So there's a lot of things going. Like if you're elderly parents, you think about them with that oxygen. One of the things I think would be a big problem in a bad situation would be cuts. And you're like, what? Like cuts. So you cut your hand, so you don't have the proper supplies to keep it clean. That gets infected, and then that grows, and then you get septic, and then you get you're basically in a septic shock, and you die. And that is not a good way to die from.
Or you wind up getting some horrible staph infection just over a cut. And it happened to my mom one time. She was cutting the grass. Perfectly normal activity, be cutting the grass, drinking a beer, doing whatever. And then she got off the lawnmower for some reason or whatever and slid up against something on the seat. And she just got a little cut, not a huge cut, but she got a little bit of a cut on her leg. Wasn't thinking nothing of it. End up developing into staph.
Yep.
She got a staph infection.
Sepsis is huge right now. That sepsis infection, because even right now, the way our current healthcare is, you still have a high percentage you may die from pneumonia, from a UTI, from a skin infection. So being aggressive with that in a grid situation where there's maybe you can't call 911, you can't get to the hospital right now, be able to keep wounds clean using water. Maybe you have iodine, betadine to clean those wounds with. Kind of gotten away from peroxide for cleaning wounds, but something to keep those wounds clean. And you'd be amazed just how many bandages you'll run through when you start trying to keep a wound clean and just keeping it not getting infected.
If somebody takes a fall and gets a really bad strawberry, maybe, sometimes you'll fall and come across some like sharp rocks and get some kind of gashes in combination with some strawberry and what I call it, just like a bad cherry on your arm, a big scrape. One thing that works really well for that, you'll wind up with like all kind of grass and dirt and little rocks hanging out of it. One just really quick and easy little thing you can do is honestly just take some table salt and hot water and warm it up on a stove or on a fire. Put it inside a water bottle and just poke some holes in the top of the water bottle, and just and use that like a saline. Yeah,
you're irrigating the
wounds. A little, even just warm water. Even if you don't add anything to it, a little warm water and a water bottle can go a long way in just cleaning wounds out. So think about in your head using little hacks, okay? Like coming up with little hacks like that can help make what you have go further. And the water purification is a great idea. You were talking about those filters.
Yep.
I mean, you may not want to take little water bottles and use it to like try to take a bath. You need to be drinking that water.
Yep.
But because it's stored properly. But then you could take like creek or lake water and purify it and be good enough to like brush your teeth, take a bath, kind of thing. So
Exactly.
or cook even. You know, cooking's fine because especially if you're boiling some potatoes or you're cooking some rice or noodles or something like that, or anything that requires water to be boiling, you know, not only have you purified it with the water purifier, but then you're also boiling it, so you're probably going to be pretty good on that.
So start stocking up your medical supplies, like put them in Rubbermaid containers, cool, dry place, and then have some medical supplies in your car, because you never know, like when this thing goes down, you may be in your car. So having that equipment there, I like having smaller kits throughout everywhere. That way, wherever I'm at, I got a first aid kit, and you kind of have some supplies. But buy in bulk. Buy a lot bigger supplies, like Medical Gear Outfitters. My company, we sell bulk 5x9s, 4x4s, clean, even the iodine bottle. So you can buy that stuff in bulk, put it away, and it's good to go.
Cool. Absolutely. And so you can go over to his website and pick up any type of medical supplies that you want. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm starting to get a little hangry, so we're going to go grab some lunch here in a minute. But definitely check out Dietrich's website and subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great information. We thought this would be a fun sort of philosophical thing to talk about. He's got a lot of great grab-and-go kits that are available on his website if you want to check them out. And you can also use the code IV8888 for 10% off. I don't get any portion of that. That's just something he extends for you guys to save some money who watch our channel. So if you'd like to support Dietrich and his family and his business, you can save 10% by using our code. And guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. We make these videos because we want people to be prepared, happy, successful. Bad things happen, let's face it, the world can be a horrible place. And you know, we want to do what we can to make sure that all the people around us are safe and happy and content, and that we roll with the punches and we dodge those inconvenient things that happen in life. And we take something that could be a severe emergency and we turn it into a minor inconvenience. You know, things happen. We have to be prepared for any and all things that could happen. So that's what these videos are meant to do, is hopefully prepare you guys. Maybe we gave you some school food for thought here. A little different school of thought for you to maybe take some of these thoughts to heart and change up your ideas, what you might have for your medical and disaster preparedness. So thank you very much. Dietrich, thank you for being with me today.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
And guys, thanks for watching. Definitely want to take a moment to thank all our Patreon supporters. Both Dietrich and I are on Patreon. He's on Skinny Medic. Obviously, I'm on Iraq Veteran. If you support us directly, thank you so much. Those of you who purchase man cans, or like in his case, if you support his website and order medical supplies, all the funds we earn go right back into supporting what we do. You can go over to Ballistic Ink and you can buy t-shirts for both Skinny Medic and Iraq Veteran. Whatever shop you buy from on Ballistic Ink, the funds go right to the content creators in terms of the proceeds, goes right back into supporting what we do. So thank you for seeing value in what we do, and thank you for supporting us. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.